Hi everybody and welcome back to Clever Melon. Today we are covering our 8th episode of our Introduction to Business series, and we are covering our 5th episode or part of our mini-series focused in on business and economics together. Today we're going to be diving into what is socialism, we're going to be looking at communism, and we're going to be looking at a thing called a mixed economy. So let's get to it. Socialism. So when we're focusing in on what socialism is, we're looking at basically an economy or a society where the government is actually owning more of the factors of production. Not all of them, but like a good majority of these factors of production. So basically we see the key characteristics that businesses that are actually around are going to be, like when it comes to entrepreneurship and all, it's going to be a lot more smaller business. We're not going to be seeing people who own private mines, for example. And on top of that, we're also seeing this key characteristic that taxes are going to be higher. And the main reason for that is because in a socialistic economy, government is trying to fund society at large because they want to be able to go and have certain social programs and help the economy from that point of view by actually supporting the people. Let's have a look at the benefits that socialism actually brings us. So the main thing here is that if you remember back on our conversation about capitalism, there was that whole aspect that it can actually cause social inequality. On the reverse side, socialism actually helps to actually bring social equality. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that they are taxing the wealthier individuals or members of the population in the country. And that gives us that benefit that we are now seeing better like work benefits and things like that. We'll get longer PTO times, or you'll see other benefits relating to like social things, such as you now have to go and you have parental leave that's longer than other people in other countries. And another aspect that we can see here, like another benefit that comes from it, is that you actually can enable free education and free different medical healthcare services, and even childcare can become a free thing based on social programs that the government is running, because they are actually using those taxes that they're giving, like taking from the wealthier individuals in the country towards these social programs. Now, the problem with socialism is that it actually creates this situation where we see a lot of like individuals who are normally the more higher income individuals because they have certain education or skills, and they now are leaving these types of countries where socialism is really like the main economic structure, because they basically are being taxed way higher than the average person. Sometimes taxes can go up to like 70% of what they actually are earning. And that has caused this thing called brain drain in these types of countries, because who wants to be taxed for the effort and work that they put in at a higher rate just because they were a little bit more skilled or a little bit more educated, or they had different things that actually drew them into that country in the first place and put them in that position where they're allowed to earn a bigger and higher income. So it becomes a big issue for countries that have socialism as the main economic system, because they are actually kind of driving away those people who are actually increasing innovation in a country. And that's the second con towards socialism, is that you're now seeing countries that have socialism don't always innovate as fast as countries that do not have socialism. And that is a big issue for when it comes to a socialistic economy. Communism is basically where we see that government actually owns all of those main factors of production. So they decide what happens in the economy. They make those economic decisions. And a key characteristics of this type of like economic system is that we now see that, where socialism is having limits, well, it's still somewhat limited in how government is controlling only certain factors of production. In this case, government owns all those factors of production, and it's intruding a lot more on people. And even for example, it now limits certain rights for individuals. So you might not be able to practice a certain religion in that country because of communism, or you might not be able to go and live in a specific area that you want to go and live in because you've been designated a specific place by government to live in, and that's where you must stay. Other aspects could be that it's related to your job. You get placed based on where the government needs you in that position. And you can't really career expand in that way. You can't go and say that you want to be a doctor today but a lawyer tomorrow. It won't work like that. You will have to actually stay in that career path that the government has designated to you. So communism is very much a more stricter type of economic system, and it controls people in the country a lot more. So let's have a look at those cons when it comes to communism. Our first one is that supply and demand planning is affected. In this instance, we know that in our capitalistic society, even in our socialistic society, that the market actually helps determine what products or services are actually being made or need to be made to meet certain demand that's being done by the consumers. In a communistic society case, we are looking at government trying to determine what it needs to make in order to actually meet those needs of people. But they don't actually have demand and supply in the same way. They don't see what is being demanded, and they actually end up just planning for certain resources. And in the end, that often leads to actual shortages in needed products such as clothing and food, because they don't know how much is actually being demanded by the population. They are just going to supply a certain amount, and that's what they get. A second con to communism is that it can lead to low motivation. So if you are not being motivated to actually do better in your position, you're not going to want to keep expanding business and improving business and earning higher rates of income and higher profits for that business, because there is no way for you to be able to do that in a communistic society. Basically, you're seeing this whole idea that you have a certain career, you have to stick to that career path, for example, and that is where you go. So you kind of lose that motivation of your workforce because of those type of things. And on top of that, you're losing innovation. People aren't going to be wanting to innovate new business concepts because there is no way for it to actually become very prosperous. And this leads us to a thing called a mixed economy. So in our free market economy, we see that the market is determining what products or services are going to be sold, who gets them, and how the economy is going to be growing. That is capitalism, basically. Now, on the other side, we have the socialistic and communistic types of societies or economies, and these are called command economies because the government has more control. In this instance, government is determining what products or services are getting sold, who is getting those products or services, and how that economy is going to be growing. So basically, what happens here is that a mixed economy is going to be drawing on different aspects from both a free market economy and a command economy. So how does that work really? Well, let's look at this. We see that our free market has certain problems when it comes to actually meeting certain things. For example, we noted that a free market society or economy can actually result in inequality. In the free markets economy, we see that people who are disabled, the elderly, or even the poor are not being responded to as well as compared to a socialistic economy, for example. On top of that, often people feel that a free market economy doesn't actually protect and support the environment in which it's actually busy with, go green aspects. And that's also a big factor to consider from a free market perspective. So how are we going to be responding to that? Well, the idea here is for free markets to move into a mixed economy type of style system. And the way that they best respond to that is by actually adopting more social causes and programs that can assist in meeting the needs of society at large, and at the same time implementing different environmental things that can help, with acts, for example, like our air acts or our pollution acts, things that help to protect the environment and the natural environment as well at the same time. On the reverse side of things, in command economies, we see a whole lack of innovation, and that is causing us to lose jobs in those types of economies because there's not enough job creation happening. And on top of that, we're not generating enough wealth in those type of economies to actually help our economy grow faster. So we're really slagging behind in those types of economies when it comes to actually creating a more fruitful environment for economic growth. So how do we respond to that into creating a mixed economy based off of a socialistic or a communistic economy? Basically, communism is disappearing. There's only a limited amount of countries in our world still that are actually communistic. When it comes to socialism, though, socialism is still very prominent in many other countries. And the way that they respond to becoming more of a mixed economy is by reducing the social programs in that country and reducing taxes so that they can encourage the workforce of people to actually keep working there and to keep innovating. So it helps to spur on the government in that way. So basically, we now have this thing called a mixed economy, which is taking and blending the free market economy and the command economy together. And basically what that means is now that government and the market both own different types of factors of production, and they work together in that type of way. So you're seeing that you're getting that social programs in those environmental protection regimes, and at the same time you're still looking to try and encourage other business people to keep wanting to go and create business and to be innovative. So it's combining all three of those different aspects into one economy, and that's why we call it a mixed economy. And that's where we're going to end for today. Thank you for joining for this lesson. Next week, we're going to be diving into like different types of economic type of theory and definitions, such as like GDP, what does unemployment mean, and all of those different types of factors, just to give everybody a nice overview about how that would work from a business perspective at the same time, from an economic perspective. So I hope to see you all there. Thank you for joining me. I hope you all have a great week ahead and all the best. Bye!